Hi, my name's Nick Devon, Brisbane's best writer that you haven't heard of, and welcome back to Radio Friendly, a channel that's not really radio friendly. If you haven't watched the last video, it's list week, repping a nice Radio Friendly pink shirt today. It's list week. Last video counting down top 30 singles. Today I'm going to be talking my top 30 albums of 2018. I figured I better do 30 because I did 30 singles and I like to have some unity in my life. Okay, so same thing as what I did with my singles video. I'm going to briefly talk about the top, 30 down to 11, and then I'll go into a bit more detail with 10 down to number 1. Okay, so coming in at number 30, this album came out last week and I liked it so much I've thrown it in at number 30. Couldn't go any lower because I thought that wasn't fair to the others, but number 30 is Some Rap Songs by Earl Sweatshirt. I'm just really happy to have more Earl Sweatshirt in my life. Yeah, it's fucking bleak and weird and experimental and I like it. So it's, my 30th favorite album of 2018. Number 29 is Fetty, the collaborative album by Currency and Freddie Gibbs. Fantastic rap album. Freddie Gibbs, one of the best MCs going at the moment, underappreciated, undervalued in the scene. A lot of the new kids don't know Freddie Gibbs and they should, because this is fucking incredible album. Maybe I should have put it higher. But, actually, yeah. Okay, 29, Fetty. Number 28 is Oxnard by Anderson .Paak. In hindsight, I would swap Fetty and Oxnard, but going off my list that I've printed out, I'm keeping it at 28. Oxnard, Anderson .Paak's latest project, big Anderson .Paak fan. Produced by Dr. Dre, great production, great performance. I did find the first half of the album wasn't my favorite. I think once we get to the Dre feature onwards, great songs. Really like that track with Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest. Really glad to see Q-Tip doing some stuff, and he's repping it with Anderson .Paak, so I'm happy to see that. Yeah, Anderson .Paak, really good at fusing different genres into hip-hop, and I like seeing that, and I like having Dr. Dre produce stuff, so that's in at number 28. Number 27 is Year of the Snitch by Death Grips. Probably my favorite Death Grips album because I think it's their most accessible. Had a Death Grips single on my top 30 single list. And it's Death Grips. If you don't know who they are, go listen to them, but you should by now. Yeah, number 27 is Death Grips. Number 28 is Taboo by Denzel Curry. One of the hardest hitting hip hop projects of the year. This is something I usually listen to when I'm exercising at the gym. Just gets your blood pumping. It's a long album, different phases to it. Some really great tracks. Perks is one of the standout tracks off of it. Yeah, really like it. Number 25, another hip-hop album, Everything's Fine by Jean Grae and Quelly Chris. Probably one of the most experimental hip-hop albums of 2018. Really enjoyed the wordplay and the different styles of hip-hop that they're playing with in this album. It's quite weird, but the flow is great from start to finish. Once you get into the flow of the album, you sink into that, and it's quite an enjoyable listen. Number 24 is Jazz Busters by Conan Moccasin. Stumbled upon this by accident, I don't know how. Saw it on Spotify, listened to it, really enjoyed the first track, Charlotte's Song. It's in my list. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. Yeah, Conan Moccasin. Really cool, really weird, little folky, jazzy, indie little project. At number 23 we have Marlo, the self-titled album by Marlo and L'Orange. Came out of nowhere again. I think I saw this on a Dead End hip-hop channel. They did a review on it. Didn't know what it was, so I gave it a listen. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's on par with Mad Villainy, but it uses L'Orange producing it. I'm pretty sure he produces it. Uses the same sample style that Madlib uses. Big fan of that, so I was a big fan of this. Marlo is pretty cool. Sometimes the production does overshadow the performance though by Marlo, but he's got some great wordplay, some great lyrics. If you haven't listened to it, check it out. It's a really good listen. One of the best underground sort of sample-driven hip-hop albums, of 2018. At number 22, another hip hop album. We have Veteran by JPEG Mafia. It's taken me a long time to get into this album actually, but once I did, I fucking thought it was incredible. Really weird, really out there. JPEG Mafia is, I mean, I think it's the punk roots he listened to a lot of punk. I can hear that in his performance. It's quite a weird album, but I mean, it's good enough to make number 22 for me. Number 21, we have Skylight by Pinegrove. Big Pinegrove fan. This one wasn't as good as their previous album, I thought, but I still enjoyed it. Still like the folky lyrics, the folky sort of performance and the way they structure their songs. But I mean, this one's a lot softer and more folky than their previous record, which I liked. It's not, I mean, it's a bit depressing, so it's not an album to listen to all the time, but not bad. Number 20, we have Isolation by Kali Uchis. A nice little hip-hop, R&B, Latina record. Really liked After the Storm, the lead single from the album. It's also on my list. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. And yeah, Isolation, Kali Uchis. Number 19, You Won't Get What You Want by Daughters. Fuck, this album is rough. It is, in all the good ways too. It is a hectic album. It's an experience, that's for sure, from start to finish. It'll fuck you around. Heavy, raw emotions on fucking music. It's a trip. But in saying that, it's really fucking good. I didn't expect to like it. And, you know, like a lot of people who review music and watch music reviews, I watched Fantano's review for this and thought I'd give it a go. And I was surprised. I didn't think I'd really like it. It's for those lovers of Swans and things like that. The real hardcore post-rock, post-hardcore, metal, all that stuff fused into one. Very loud, abrasive production and instrumentation. Dissonance, just hard dissonance. You know, put to tape. But yeah, it's an emotive experience, that's for sure. Whether you want to feel those emotions is up to you, but it's something that you should at least experience once. That's number 19, You Won't Get What You Want by Daughters. 18, we have Songs of Praise by Shame. This is the UK post-punk band, or punk band, whatever you want to call them. Saw them at the beginning of the year at Laneway. Been following these boys for a long time, ever since their single The Lick came out a few years ago. Loved that, and I've loved their stuff ever since. Really mature punk. I've found that they've matured a lot through the year. I've seen their live performances on YouTube, but they've really come into their own in their own scene. They're almost like a young Idols, where Idols are sort of up and coming still. Shame are just underneath that. Yeah, political lyrics, political British punk rock, just what you like to see back from the 70s in 2018. That's Shame's Songs of Praise. Number 17, we have Ice Age's Beyondless, the Danish post-punk band. I actually spoke about this album in my Best of 2018 So Far video. It's an abrasive album, contrasting with, you know, bright royal horns and abrasive twangy post-punk guitars. Really great album. Number 16, we have Cocoa Sugar by Young Fathers. Another album I mentioned halfway through the year in my video. Yeah, Young Fathers, Scottish experimental pop group, fusing elements of hip-hop, R&B, rock, funk, electronic music, electronic dance music. A great experimental pop record. Some great songs in there too. Of course, it's on the list. Number 15, Twin Fantasy by Car Seat Headrest. This is an album that I forget came out in this year. Technically it's a remake, it's a reproduced album of Car Seat Headrest, one of his early albums, but I'm considering it for this list anyway. Great songwriter, putting together some great tunes here. That's Car Seat Headrest at number 15. Number 14, Invasion of Privacy by Cardi B. I couldn't have this list without mentioning Cardi B. She is the best female rapper going at the moment. One of the best rappers in general at the moment, regardless. She is killing it. Whether it's a feature, I mean, she makes songs that she's featuring on. That's how fucking good Cardi B is. Invasion of Privacy is a great debut album by Cardi. Some hard-hitting, dirty tracks. She has a fucking dirty lyrics. But why not? Nothing fucking stopping her. Yeah, Cardi B killing it. Some really great rap tracks here, but also some really soulful, emotive pop rap tracks as well. She can change it up a bit. She's not all about that, the real sexual and dirty lyrics. She can, write some really beautiful ones too, like Be Careful. Showing more of an emotive side for it. Anyway, that's Cardi B's Invasion of Privacy. Number 13, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino by Arctic Monkeys. This was number 10, I think, in my list that I made halfway through the year. Obviously I like the album. It's number 13, but I really enjoyed the jazzy instrumentation that Arctic Monkeys have gone with. Completely changed the game for their song structure, just their style of music in general. It's one of those albums I keep listening to more and more. I keep finding new things. I see a lot of David Bowie in the album too. A lot of Black Star, his last album, sorry. But yeah, Alex Turner, he can get a bit much on the album, but once you move past that, you see some really cryptic lyrics and some really smart, very clever instrumentation that Arctic Monkeys have never showcased before. So for that reason, it's at number 13. Number 12, we have Lil Boat 2 by Lil Yachty. Guilty pleasure of mine. Always like Lil Yachty. It's Lil Yachty. Playful, dumb trap album. But out of the two albums he released this year, Lil Boat 2 is by far the best. The other one was a piece of shit. This one was really good in my books. It's something that I listen to just to, cheer me up, just to have some fun. And that's all you need to have with Lil Yachty. You don't need to take him seriously. Don't. Number 11, we have Iridescence by Brockhampton. Brockhampton were my favourite band of 2017. This album is a divisive album. I am on the fence with it still, even though I'll put it at number 11. I love the tracks, but also I'm just really annoyed at where Brockhampton have gone. And then also on the other hand, I really like where they're going. I just can't make my mind up, but I made my mind up on putting it at number 11. I didn't put it in my top 10, I couldn't do that, so I put it in 11. I just miss Amir, man. I just fucking miss Amir. I miss the darker, deeper vocals that they had, the harder hitting stuff that they had in their stuff last year. But in saying that, Iridescence made me like Bareface, so I got to give Brockhampton props for that. It's a good album. It's a really good album, but I don't think I'd want to see it live, and that's where I'm thinking, well, maybe I don't like where Brockhampton are going because I don't want to see this live. I also don't want to see them live in general anymore because they're cutting out Amir's vocals and verses, which were some of the best verses from the Saturation songs. Anyway, I digress. Iridescence is number 11 on my list. And now we get to go to the top 10. So, let me flick through my notes. At number 10, we have The Sciences by Sleep. It's heavy shit, and that's what I said halfway through the year too. Heavy shit. This is some stoner metal. One of the few records from my video halfway through the year that's made my top 10. Sleep have refined their already raw sound after their 15-year hiatus. They've returned, it's raw, but it's very refined, but still heavy and rough. It's hard to explain. You have these sluggish stoner riffs that just almost hesitate from going to the next bar. This droning strum of the heavy guitar almost takes too long to get to the next verse, and then you have the crashing cymbals just waiting for that next ring of the guitar as well. It's hypnotizing in that way too, so you listen to it and you just get lost. It's nearly an hour-long record with only 6 tracks, 3 of which go over 10 minutes, some of them 14 minutes. So you can just see where you can get lost in the sound that they're producing here. It's not the heaviest of stuff, but when you listen to it, you just think it feels heavy in your chest when you listen to it. And it's fantastic because of it. That's what I love the most out of this album, the feeling that it evokes out of me. The rolling psychedelic riffs are hypnotizing with the crashing cymbals. Well, yeah, you'll lose yourself in this classic stoner metal, and it's something I wish would happen, would be around in the scene a bit more, especially in the metal scene. It's just a shame the style of music isn't at the forefront of the industry anymore. But it's coming in at number 10 on my list. The Sciences by Sleep. Sorry, The Sciences by Sleep. Fuck. Number 9, we have Idles, Joy as an Act of Resistance. I didn't know anything about Idles at the beginning of the year, which is a real shame because Brutalism, their debut album from 2017, is my favourite Idles record and what I've listened to a lot this year as well. But I do feel like Joy as an Act of Resistance is a fantastic album. Joy, I find, Joy is not as good as Brutalism. I think the ferocious energy, the hard-hitting energy from Brutalism is lacking in Joy. But what Joy makes up for are the more thought-provoking lyrics that we didn't have in Brutalism. In a way, Idles show a more mature class of songwriting, especially for the punk genre. It's socially conscious and subtly political. It's subtly political and almost masks how political it is with the catchy choruses and brutally poetic verses. While Brutalism had an infectious energy, Joy makes you sit back and think about the lyrical content, the political content, makes you think about it in a profoundly deep way. Idles are bringing back the true punk, English punk that we had in the 70s, and well, I wasn't alive, that people had in the 70s, that has been lost in waves of hardcore music. Idles are rewriting the punk handbook, especially with tracks like Danny Nedelko and Television. Favorite tracks out of this album: Colossus, Never Fight a Man with a Perm, Danny Nedelko, and Television. At number 8, we have Bottle It In by Kurt Vile. Bottle It In's not Kurt's best video, but I'm a sucker for Kurt Vile's blend of folk and rock anyway, so I've thrown this in there. Kurt's bland vocals aren't always appealing to everyone, but they do appeal to me. The sort of rambling style of lyrics that he has, works with me. There's a couple tracks here that I don't like, but there's also a lot of tracks that I do like, so, it sort of equals itself out there. I mean, one of the tracks that I don't like is the title track, Bottle It In. It goes for too long. It's almost unlike Kurt Vile to write that track too. Very slow, very painstakingly slow. But I love the way that Kurt fingerpicks in every other track, and the way that he uses space in his solos, very much like Neil Young. I mentioned this in my singles video. Kurt's solo music is what I love the most, though. It's the genre that speaks to me the most, this folk rock. The guitar melodies are familiar and simple, with the hammer-ons, the pull-off of the notes and stuff like that. It's all very centered around one area of the guitar, but he's able to manipulate those sounds so well and figure out new ways to put those sounds together. I just love the playfulness that he has in his music. There's a humbleness to it that I always find quite appealing. Favorite tracks from this: Loading Zones, Bass Backwards, One Trick Ponies, Check Baby, Come Again, and Mutinies. Number 7, we have Daytona by Pusha T. This is by far, I think, the best rap album of the year. Kanye sort of set the bar with his 20-minute style production. The real short, concise rap album, and we see that replicated through the year with Freddie Gibbs and Currency collaboration. In other sort of hardcore hip hop sort of followed the trend, and certainly trap albums didn't. But this is the album that sort of made me appreciate Pusha T as well. It's an incredibly short album by 2018 standards, 2018 hip hop standards, and there's really no room for mistake or no room to hide for Pusha T. And that's what I like so much about this, is that every song needed to be perfect, or at least close to perfect, and I feel like that's what's been accomplished with Daytona. The more I listen to it, the more I do appreciate it as a whole. It works, excuse me, it works as a whole. It flows impeccably and hits hard as fuck, especially Come Back Baby, the beat switch up there between the soulful sample and then straight into that deep bass where Pusha T starts to rap. It's a great album, and that's why it's at number 7. My favourite tracks off here, Games We Play, Hard Piano, and Come Back Baby. Number 6, we have Hope Downs by Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever. I did a video on this on Radio Friendly, so check that out. I did it after the hype. It's fucking worth the hype. This album is great. It's the second best Aussie album for me of 2018. The band are good enough for Sub Pop to sign them, so that tells you something too. If you like Sub Pop's, if you like the music that Sub Pop are signing, then you'll like Rolling Blackouts. So far through the year, they've been doing great things, and they're flying the flag for Australia really well overseas. They highlight the classic Aussie sound, and the way they do it's fantastic. There's a lot of things going on, but they make it sound as one. They have this unified sound in their music with all the different guitars going on, whether the guitars are playing the same vocal melody, or that they're dueling with different melodies, and the bass is going on in the background, and the consistent drums. It's always rolling at a consistent pace, and they're always cohesive together. It's really great to listen to. Obviously, take strong influence from the Go-Betweens in that 70s indie rock sound that was coming out of Australia in the 70s and 80s. Every single song on this track is catchy as hell. There's no real slow point to it. It flows from start to finish impeccably. Instrumentally, the band do great things. Like I said before, infectious choruses, great instrumentation. So my favourite songs out of that: An Air Conditioned Man, Talking Straight, Mainland, Sisters Jeans, and Bellarine. Alright, so at number 5 we have The Astronomical Calamities of Comet Jones by The Gametes. The Gametes are a Brisbane band. I've been fucking plugging the shit out of them all through the year. Fantastic band. I want to do this band justice, so I'm going to read what I wrote. A local band I've followed for some time, a band who have achieved arguably the impossible, especially for such an underground band. If you've been following me this year, you would have seen me rave on about the Gametes. The mysterious Brisbane-based sci-fi narrative, the mysterious Brisbane band weave a sci-fi narrative into not only their music, but their online profiles, their shows, their media projects, even their interviews, which I had an exclusive interview with, so check that out on Radio Friendly. I said in my review of their album that there hasn't been a band like this since Tism, and I still stand by that statement. For a band to pretty much appear out of nowhere, play a handful of shows in a short period of time, release some stellar singles, and then write a sci-fi pulp album, then pretty much disappear, is one of the coolest stories to come out of the Brisbane music scene. I just hope people remember this band for what they did and the dedication they put into their art. They were the outsiders, the people standing in the back of the crowd who came up and did a better job than most of the bands in the scene are doing right now, and then left. It's a baller move. I respect it, and it makes me think of this album makes this album even better. Sorry. Most bands write a single, tour the single, and then write a single. The Gametes wrote a novella and put music to it. Top that. Check out this band. You should check out this album. For a band to do this, like I said, what I've just read, it's fantastic. Anyway, my favourite singles out of this were The Colour of Space, Star Surfer 9, The Hive Part 1, The Hive Part 2, and The Man of Thumbs. Check out the Gametes' Astronomical Calamities of Comet Jones. Okay, so at number 4 we have Fantastic Furniture's Fantastic Furniture. My favourite Australian album of the year. Julia Jacqueline's side project to her folky stuff. I've spoke about this in my singles video. In this project just hits home to me a bit more than her folk, because it is a bit more of the poppy rock, dance, indie rock stuff that I like that comes through. The production is crisp and clear, especially the bass riffs. They always pop and stand out for me. And they're bouncy, they're punchy, they really hit through in the speakers. Jacqueline's smoky, hazy vocals, which are typically found in modern folk, fit right at home here in this indie rock. The tracks are all catchy, especially my personal favourite, Dark Corner Dance Floor. Jacqueline's vocals are often haunting as she moves from her deep vocals, her lower register, into her higher falsetto. Sorry, I'm stuttering. it all works, but in this beautifully rich way. It's very cohesive. It's very smart the way that she uses her different registers to evoke different feelings. There's a beautiful contrast in the music between the darkness of Jacqueline's vocals and the bright, shimmery tone of the bass and guitar. It's quite different to a lot of the other Australian indie rock out there. This is why this album stood out the most for me. It is quite different to the others. And it's Jacqueline's vocals that stand out the most. It's what makes this album so good. So that's why at number 4 we have Fantastic Furniture's self-titled album. Now at number 3, counting down, we have Something Else by the Brian Jonestown Massacre. 2018 will be known, for me at least, as the year of the Brian Jonestown Massacre. It's the band I've listened to the most out of any. Only just started listening to them late last year, beginning of this year, and I've just haven't stopped. Every week I think I'm listening to this band, and Something Else is one of those albums. And I've learnt a lot about this band too, so I can sort of speak, fairly truthfully about it. It's classic Brian Jonestown Massacre. They are Anton Newcomb, the head of the band, the lead singer and mastermind behind the project. He masterfully recreates the sounds of 60s and 70s pop rock and all that stuff. When you hear a guitar riff, you think, well, that sounds like what the Monkees were doing back then, or that's almost Beatles-esque, Beatles-inspired. He fuses all that into something that is modern, but still pays homage to the psychedelic 60s, the rock that was coming out. And he does it all himself, really. He's got the band, but he's writing all this stuff himself. The songs are hypnotizing, very repetitive. As soon as the solos kick in, I just kick back and relax and just enjoy them. The solos that he does, the guitar solos are so good. Excuse me. And Brian Jonestown Massacre, fantastic. Who Dreams of Cats is a proof that the sound of yesteryear's elevated once again for a modern experience. Who Dreams of Cats is that track. The album works whatever the occasion for me. Fantastic solos, infectious melodies, hypnotizing drum rhythms. It's psychedelic bliss. At number 2 we have Wide Awake by Parquet Courts. So this was my number 1 album of 2018 back when I did that video 6 months ago. It's the perfect mix of punk, funk, post-punk, tribal, rock, folk, all into one melting pot of an album. It's politically cohesive from start to finish. Really thought-provoking lyrics, not just like fuck the man, all that shit, but what he's talking about. What Parquet Courts are talking about in their lyrics, whether it's the lyrics of Total Football, the opening track, thought-provoking to an extent that you wouldn't think in this sound that they're creating. That it carries a lyrical weight to it that little albums have done in a long time. Parquet Courts slapping some catchy as fuck punk and rock tunes, showcasing both their great musical influences as well as their great songwriting ability. The way the track Freebird 2 sounds like the sister song to Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird amazes me every time I listen to this album. And the flow from start to finish is impeccable. The track almost had to start a fight in and out of patience. It's a 2-part track, but the way it flows from one part to the next is fantastic. It's a smart, political, well-written punk rock album. Probably the best. I mean, it mixes punk and all that, but it is the best rock album of 2018 by far. The second best album for Radio Friendly of 2018. My favourite tracks off that: Total Football, Before the Water Gets Too High, Almost Had to Start a Fight, In and Out of Patience, Freebird 2, Wide Awake, and Death Will Bring Change. Now, for my number 1 pick for 2018, we have Knock Knock by DJ Koze. Favorite album, the one I've listened to by far the most this year. It's on all the fucking time. Bought it on vinyl so I can play it more whenever I get the chance. Continues to get better with each listen. It's an electronic banger from start to finish. DJ Koze mixes samples, mixes sounds into this rich tapestry of music. It's not well, I never thought that I would have an electronic album as my number one album of the year, but I don't think of this almost as an electronic album. The way the way he melds different genres, different sounds, different textures to the music, it all fits. It gets weird, but then it gets really beautiful, and you move from emotion to emotion with each song. You hear more little nuances each time you listen to this album, whether it's a different sample that you didn't know, or just a different sound, and you wonder, how did he create that sound? It took me forever to figure out that there was Bon Iver in one of the tracks as well. I think it was Bonfire. Of course, Bon Iver. I didn't even know it until like the 10th time I was listening to this album. I thought, fuck, that sounds familiar. Of course, it's Bon Iver. Those melds, samples, and sounds, and some of the oddest music, it makes something captivating and mesmerizing out of it. It's incredible. Mixing the likes of Jose Gonzalez and Bon Iver, like I said before, and some old 70s soulful samples in the track Pickup. Illumination's a fantastic track. From start to finish, this is a fantastic house album, a fantastic electronic album, a fantastic sampled album, and just a great album in general. It's up there with the Avalanche's Since I Left You. That's how good this album is. I've heard other people say that, and I can stand by that too. I think this will go down as Koze's best album, and just will go down as being my favourite album of 2018 by far. My favourite tracks are Bonfire, Moving in a Liquid, Colours of Autumn, Illumination, and Pickup. They're my favourites, but I mean, that's my favourite album, so you can consider all of them to be my favourite. We did it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen or read any of the Radio Friendly content that I've put out this year. It means a lot. I have created a small, close following in this year. I started Radio Friendly in general in January of 2018. Now we're in December of 2018. It's been a year, and it's been quite an experience. It's been very creatively, what's the word? I've been able to do a lot of creative stuff that I wouldn't have done. It's been able to, I created Radio Friendly as an outlet just for me to write whatever I wanted to, and it sort of progressed into something. I set myself some goals at the beginning of the year, and I've been able to tick off all of them. So thank you very much for coming along on the ride. I will aim to continue to do all this stuff through next year. I want to do more video. I've enjoyed filming these videos, the top 30 singles, top 30 albums. I've enjoyed doing that. I hope you enjoyed watching. Check out Radio Friendly on Facebook and Instagram. Like the channel, like the video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.